My name is Tiffany Koehler, and I'm a 7th grade music teacher at Madison Local Schools in Mansfield, Ohio. I currently teach 7th grade choir and music appreciation. For this unit, I chose to focus more on my choir students than my music appreciation students. Currently, right now in class, we are focusing on key signatures. My hope for my students, the desired situation, just from my needs analysis, is I would really like my students to be able to identify key signatures in music on their own. It's a vital piece of knowledge that all musicians need to have. Key signatures help identify what notes are flat, sharp, or natural, and if you misidentify one of those, it changes the entire sound of a piece of music. For example, you have a piece of music with no flats or sharps, and it sounds happy and exciting, and you throw in a flat in there by accident because you don't know what key you're in, and then all of a sudden it sounds really sad and it's in a minor mode. So for that reason, it's really important for my students to start identifying this stuff on their own. Currently in 7th grade, my students, most of them, do not know how to identify key signatures in music, and that's a result of a lot of different factors. I have a lot of different learners in there. I have higher level thinkers. I have students who are on IEP, students who are on MH, students who take private lessons, so wide variety. But one of the biggest problems is just that I have 4 feeder elementary schools into my junior high. And in 6th grade, they have still yet to learn many of the basic skills and concepts that they need to learn as a music student. And so they come into 7th grade, and they're all at different levels. For some of them, this is the first time they've been in choir. For some of them, they already know everything, and it's really hard. Currently in class, we work with key signatures every day. We work on solfege every day. Students are expected to identify the key signature in the music. But what that really means right now is that I'm telling them what key signature we're in, and we're focusing more on the solfege portion. We do movable do, if you guys know what that is. And so I'm really focused on having them understand the concept and the process of solfege. And so right now I'm giving them that information. But in an ideal situation, students would know that. They'd be able to locate the key signature, which they can do now, but actually be able to understand that key signature. The gap right now is that students don't possess the necessary tools to help them assist them in identifying key signatures. My instructional goal for this unit was that 7th grade choir students will identify key signatures utilized in the musical order of flats and sharps. This is pretty basic. I divided my unit into 5 different lessons after figuring out the 5 basic steps based on the early process of ID. So in those first couple of needs analysis and the goals and objectives and that first kind of thing, I decided that there were 5 main steps that all students needed to learn. So I took those 5 steps, I broke them down into my lesson. So literally each lesson is 1 step on how to identify key signatures in music, which I think is really great because it's scaffolding the learning for all of my students. So they can start off with the most basic concept, and once they master that, they continue on to the harder steps in the process. I integrated technology throughout the whole entire unit, actually, because for the students, all of the materials for this unit is online. So really, it's a process that they can do by themselves, in the library, before school, during homeroom. They can do it at home. They can do it, anywhere they want. It's actually not a process that we're going to be doing in class. I created a web quest for my students. They accessed the pre-test online. The pre-test, went through and evaluated whether they were able to actually move on to the web quest. And then the web quest is really basic, divided up into 5 different lessons. Each tab says lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4, so on and so forth. So it's super easy for them to follow along and not get confused as to where they need to be at any given time. All of the assessments for each lesson are also done online. There's extra material that's from different websites. All the assessments are done through different websites, and I've also provided a large amount of resources with different games they can play to help them through this process, different apps that they can actually download on their phone and practice, when they're out and about. So I tried to incorporate technology anywhere I had possible. I went even so far as to create their post-tests so that they were actually using technology in the post-test. Instead of just giving them a test to assess them, the same test that I gave them before, they're actually going to use a camera. It could be, just a cell phone camera, which most of my students have cameras now on their cell phones. We have flip cameras at our school. I have 2 in my choir room, and then we have extra ones in the office to be used for the students, where they can just, press the record button and then go through the process of telling me how they were able to identify the key signature, flats and sharps, and tell me the whole process so that I can see each student individually doing this. It's a lot easier for me to see the webcam video or the movie phone video, as opposed to I have over 60 kids in my choir and then have to take one away separately and show me this skill, or just, take for granted that what they did on a test actually is telling me that, yes, they know this skill and they've acquired it. From the formative evaluation, I learned a lot. I've never really done one of those. Most of the time, I've just created a unit and then implemented it. And from the feedback that I've gotten as I've been teaching it, I've, tweaked it for the next semester or the next year. This really gave me a lot of feedback as to change right away before I implemented it, and I really appreciated that. Some of the stuff was just grammar related. Some things were unclear. Sometimes I use big vocabulary, so I need to kind of make that a little bit more towards the 7th graders' vocabulary. And they also wanted some specific written out instructions on how to access the pretest. I had written it on the board for my students who were testing it out, and they would rather me actually have something written down so that I could give to them and they could walk through the process if they were on their own at home, which made a lot of sense. I didn't even think about. Differently next time, I would just, try to maybe find some different resources, break it down a little bit more. I really did like the ID process, specifically the formative evaluation. That was something that I'll really come through and use a lot in the future. The whole process, step by step, of how to work through and actually go up to the final products was really helpful. I thought the whole thing was awesome. But the formative evaluation, I'd never done that, like I said, and just to give it to a few learners beforehand makes a lot of sense, as opposed to actually teaching a unit and then just tweaking it for future learners. This is like actually for that particular class, which I really, really enjoyed and I liked. So I'm so glad that I found out about that. So basically, the ID process has helped me become a better teacher, just from thinking through my strategy from the first point to the end point, and especially thinking more along the lines of what do students think now before I've implemented it, and then I'm asking them for feedback. This is really awesome. So really appreciated it. I think that the technology will be used a lot in this class. My students love technology anywhere I can put it in, and definitely getting their feedback in advance was really awesome. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Thanks.